What's up, YouTube? So I just got my Neptune Systems Apex Aquarium controller. Just wanted to do a quick unboxing video on it before I take this thing apart and start installing it. This box was actually like a sleeve that goes over the box where all the contents are inside of. It gives you some pretty good information about it. Doesn't really go into detail because with this Apex Neptune, I mean, there's just too much to explain in a short video. So if you want to know more about it, do some research. But this thing is great. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and that's the reason why I went with the Apex versus the Reef Keeper. Huge price difference, but you know, the quality of the options that you get from the Neptune is a lot greater than what the Reef Keeper offers. First, you get an Ethernet cable. Unlike the Reef Keeper, the Neptune comes internet ready, so you plug this directly into your internet supply and your Neptune status will stay online, and that's how you get to do everything via internet, which is a great option to come straight out the box. The Reef Keeper, you have to buy it, and it's like an extra 120 something bucks. So these are the Aquabus cables. They're just USB cables. This is how all the modules communicate with the display and with the power bar and the brain of the Apex, which is basically the controller. Temperature probe plugs into the controller. It's kind of like one of them old school phone cables. It's a pretty short temperature probe. Apex claims that this is supposed to be a long-lasting probe, so we'll see how that turns out. Here is the display unit. Came double bubble wrapped. Now it looks like it's scratched, but it's not. It's actually a plastic protectant over the screen. Kind of freaked me out at first when I looked at it, and I was like, oh my god, but you know, this thing's expensive and they sent me a scratch one, but it's not. That plastic peels off. One thing I don't like about this is if you touch it, your finger leaves a film behind. So you got if you're a neat freak, you'll be constantly wiping this thing off, and I got a feeling I'm going to be wiping it a lot. So that's a display. Now here's the brain of the Neptune. This thing is nice. Like I said, it comes internet ready, and I mean, it has a lot of options on this. I mean, it's got a, let's see if we can get it to focus. The power, the Aquabus, control, Ethernet, temperature, I/O, pH, ORP on the second one, and the V1, V2, V3, V4. Now, this is the independent power supply for the unit itself. The Aquabus is actually where the USB cables connect to, so the modules can communicate with each other. And this control one, I believe it's for the Tunzi power heads, so you can have more of the wave maker function and control the pumps via Apex instead of having to buy a wave maker for it. This will probably control it. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not going to have to worry because I'm going to get the Vortex. The Ethernet, very, 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 very nice option. Ethernet cable goes straight in, and it'll give you a status reading. As long as that status is good, then it means you're linked to the internet. Your temperature probe, just like I showed you, just like an old school phone, plugs in. Now this I/O breakout box, this is the only thing that I was disappointed in versus the Reef Keeper. The Reef Keeper, you can actually add the float switches to their SL1. I think you only can hook about 2 or 3, not too many. But you know, it kind of sucks that you buy this and then you have to buy another module for your float switches and leak detectors and whatnot. But the nice thing about it is it's only $30, and when you get it, you can hook 6 float switches up to it. So it kind of is a little better versus the Reef Keeper, but disappointing that it didn't come with it. And you got your input for your pH probe. I got the lab grade pH probe. It's inside this box here. For you. The blue one is the lab grade. It's a nice probe. And you got an extra pH, or you can add an ORP. Now I went ahead and got an ORP because in the future I do plan on running ozone versus a UV, and I'll get into my reasoning about that in the future. It'd probably be a whole video all by itself. There's plenty to discuss about that. And then here you got the V1s, V2, V3, V4. Now that's for your LEDs. Like to add a dimmer, sunrise, sunset effect to your LEDs. I'm not gonna have to worry about it because I do have the Ecotech Radions, and they pretty much are going to be controlling themselves. My Apex is only going to tell them to either shut off or turn on if the tank, you know, depending on my temperature of the tank. So the Radions will be taking care of themselves, but if the tank gets hot, this will shut my lights off for me. So this piece here is awesome. This is going to control pretty much everything. And what's nice, the display links up via USB, goes into the Aquabus, and that's how, like I said, all the modules and everything hook up with each other. And you got to make sure you have a closed circuit with everything, so if one receives information, they all receive the information. This one, since I got the lab pH probe, it came with the buffer solution. Not really sure how to use it yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. What else did it come with? Mounting screws. Not sure if I'm going to use these either or get something else, but usually these fit the holes best that are in the side brackets of the unit. Last but not least, the Power Bar 8, which is nice versus the Reef Keeper, because the Reef Keeper only comes with, I believe the Power Bars with 4. But what's nice about the Reef Keeper is that you can split them up and put 4 on one side of your sump and put 4 on another side of your sump. These actually have to all be in the same section, but the way I'm going to configure my layout, I should be fine having them all in the same section. And I believe these are the 2 stronger voltage, you know, auto top offs and stuff like that should not be in these last 2. It should be more probably these 2 here, so that you know, your auto top off doesn't keep running when it tells it to shut off. It'll pick up a small amount of voltage and actually keep the pump running. And it comes with an installation disc for your laptop. From what I understand, it's compatible with both Windows and Mac, and that's great with the internet too, so it doesn't matter what you're running, because as soon as you're up and running on the internet, you should be able to control your system. And it's just, you know, a bunch of information, instructions, and that's it. I will be installing this pretty soon. I think I do want to get an extra power bar, just to make my system fully automated, and I'm going to get the breakout. Oh yeah, just another thing to this power bar, it's got a sticker over it. There's about 6 of these Aquabus USBs here, so you can add modules. I think with the Apex you can add up to like 260 something odd modules. So basically you can open up a fish store and control the whole store with just this one Apex unit. I mean, of course you'd have to get, you know, more ORP and pH modules to link up via the Aquabus to control those tanks, and then on on the internet or on your program on a computer, you can just rename them, and just tank 1, tank 2, and you can do all kinds of stuff. If you got a hospital tank, or if you got a frag tank sitting next to your main display, you can completely control it with just one apex, which is awesome. And like I said, from this going from 2, having this here plugging into this, and then this being expandable to 5 more, I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Especially if you can add up to 260 something odd modules. But I do plan on getting the wireless Vortec controller for this, and getting the I/O breakout box, and hooking up 5 float switches and 1 with a leak detector, and just see what kind of toys and new stuff that Neptunes comes out with. I mean, they got all kinds of great stuff, and you can do a lot of options with these things. I mean, you think you'd figure it out, and then all of a sudden you say, oh wow, I can do it this way too. So in my opinion, this is a must-have versus a Reef Keeper. This was just an unboxing. Once I get it up and running, I'll give it a review and kind of explain and show how I'm using it. So happy reefing.